Howdy there guys, and welcome back to Edgar TV, where today I'm going to have a look at what the pay is like for dart players on the PDC Tour specifically, and this comes off the back of the announcement recently that the Pro Tours will be moving to midweek, and I've seen some crazy speculation about numbers and projections about either what players are earning or what they're not earning, and the amount of money that you're going to need to play the tour. I mean, the first thing is when we look at the PDC Pro Tour going to midweeks, actually I'd say that the expenses are more likely to come down because a lot of the hotels, certainly in the areas these are going to be cheaper to book midweek stays than they would be at the weekends. Now, when we look forward, we've got to look first of all what the PDC is. The PDC is a promoter. They are the land of opportunity, but they are not an employer. So you go along to Q School, you get your PDC tour card, you sign that PDC contract, and it guarantees you no financial income. It guarantees you an opportunity to go play the Pro Tours, to go play the European Tours, to try and get into those big TV events, and to potentially look at changing your life. Darts right now is in an absolute boom period, certainly when we look at the top 3 players in the world, all earning £1 million in prize money, and that's just prize money alone. When we look at where that actually ranks, 10 years ago the World Championship paid out £1 million for the entire tournament. Now we've got our top 3 players in the world. The world champion 10 years ago took £200,000. The runner-up took £100,000, and then a lot less working your way through. £200,000 nowadays would barely get you inside the world's top 32. So it shows the way that darts is growing and the way it is going, but it doesn't quite bring that line all the way down. Now, where does the line come to, first of all? That's the first thing. There's a lot of people suggesting all players on the tour are professional. Absolutely not. When we look at what the average living wage is in the UK is £21,500. Now, when we look at the players in the top 64, for me, if you're in the top 64, you should be a professional player. When we look at the players currently ranked in that position, Louis Williams, £31,000 a year on average for him to be in his position. And when we look even higher up, when we look at the top 40, £65,000 a year. Now, it's key to remember, this is just prize money alone. When we look at the amount of dates that are in a year, 365 days, for a player who's in the top 64, I reckon their engagement with PDC activity will be no more than 70 days a year. That leaves 295 days a year for which you can do other activities. Now, some of those are going to be for practice, but there's plenty of time and space there for things such as exhibitions or other sort of work or activities if you feel the £31,000 doesn't fit within your lifestyle. Now, there are obviously a lot of deductions that come with this, and this is key to remember as well. Now, the PDC, like we said before, are a promotionary body that have players on self-employed contractors, which means when you go anywhere, it is your responsibility to be at the venue and to be where you need to be at the time you need to be. So if you need a hotel the night before, that's from you. If you need a train, if you're driving, that's on you. Even down to the fact of when we had COVID and we had to have the tests, again, that came to you. Even down to things like the World Championships. This is one of the most common questions I get. What expenses do the players get? They don't. The expenses are included within the prize money. Certainly, in the world, we had to pay for our own COVID tests on top. So plenty of expenses with that, along with other sanctions and fees, such as a 2% PDPA levy. That comes off of every penny you earn. You pay 2% to the PDPA, on top of your annual membership fee and your DRA fee. If you want to know more about like the expenses and the costs and everything that will be deducted, I can give you that. That's going to come in a future video. I've been on the PDC tour for 11 years. So I've had good years, I've had bad years. I can give you an example of a good year. I can give you an example of a bad year. If you want to see that and you're not subscribed, make sure you do so now. And if you want to see that and you are subscribed, at least go hit the like button so I know that's the sort of thing we want to see here on Edgar TV. Now, the main reason I'm sort of making this video, we are coming up to Q School, and I get a lot of questions and things about Q School, and you see this the second someone gets their tour card at Q School that gets close, they're picking out a walk-on song, they're deciding what shirt they're going to have. There's a lot of things that are in that contract, and again, this is another video I will do. There's a lot of things in that contract that need to be considered, such as the ability to no longer appear on streamed events or non-PDC TV events. Now, the PDC have recently gone to 4 streaming boards, which increases the opportunity of getting some exposure and getting some time for your sponsors to be seen. But previously, it was sort of behind closed doors, so there was actually quite a lot less opportunity for your sponsors to have been seen. So great move here by the PDC in order to get more exposure for their players. But with that, you also, when you look at that contract as a self-employed contractor, you're now responsible for your own pension. There's no sick pay. If you get injured, you're not going to tournaments, you're not getting paid from that avenue. Now, it's, again, very key to remember that the PDC prize money is only one avenue. There are plenty other avenues available for dart players. Again, I've got a video on that. I'll pop it on the end screen, and I'll put in the description below the different ways in which dart players earn money throughout the year. Now, where do I see the line going in terms of the amount of professional dart players we see on the tour? I do think eventually we're going to get to the point we see all 128 players professional players. Now, that's going to come one of two ways: either the constant increasing of prize money and opportunities within the PDC. When we look at things like the Players' Championship Finals, that was 32 players, been expanded to 64, and the constant invention of new opportunities and tournaments, certainly as part of that staircasing system within the PDC. Now, we could see this go the way of snooker. Snooker offer a guaranteed wage now to their tour card holders. Everything we've seen in snooker, we've seen come across to the darts. I remember when I first started playing on the PDC, it used to be £105 a tournament, and you got £200 for winning your first game. You had to win your board to get £600. You now just have to win one match to get £750. So it shows the growth in terms of all the way through. There's a lot of people that talk about the PDC and darts being elitist and looking after only those top players, but when you look at facts such as that, winning your board for £600, now £750, no entry fee, so £105 saved every tournament. You'd go to a tournament of 2 or 3 and you'd put in £200-300, and you knew one game would just get you your entry fee back. That's before you got to looking at the expenses and everything that came with it. And this at the time was a tour that was very travelling. We'd go over to Canada, Australia for Pro Tour events, so it wasn't as more localized around Europe as it now is. But when we look at where the line goes, I think at the moment the cut off 64. I think it's going to be looking at going to that 96. I would not be surprised to see an expansion of the World Championship at some point as well, which would obviously offer more opportunity and a big payday again at the end of the year for more people and more opportunity for players to turn professional. And I think this is something that the PDC are probably already considering, having a fully professional tour, especially going midweek. They don't tend to just guess at things. They tend to get things right, and if they go midweek, there's probably a system in place. And when we look at those major titles as well, we can look and say, well, maybe they're taking note of certain things. Chris Dobie winning the Masters outside the world's top 16. He then got himself into the Premier League. And we look at Chris Dobie outside the top 16. He was going to European Tour qualifiers at the same time as playing in the Premier League because of winning that TV title. Andrew Gilding outside the top 32 when he won the UK Open. We have talked about the strength and depth in darts for so long now that maybe it's starting to be recognised a little bit further as well, and we'll see more opportunities and prize money eking in. The UK Open, a great example now, where before you had to win a couple of games to get any prize money, that prize line is dropping and coming down further to the chasing pack. By that, again, more professional players. But for me, to summarise this video, what is the pay like for PDC dart players? I think if you're in the top 64, you should be a professional player. We will have people outside the top 64 due to other things they have done that are professional players. But if you're not a professional player in the world's top 64 with the prize money that's available on the PDC, I think you're doing something wrong. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Catch you soon for some more Edgar TV. Edgar TV.